Well, here we are, February 12th, and we were supposed to have snow on the ground this morning, but so much for accuracy in weather forecasts. One of the things going on this winter, actually ground squirrel activity, digging those, so I've been out addressing that a little bit with some very special presents and squirrel feed. And then this, because we've had our own pandemic here at the farm, a pandemic of cougar, the boys are spending all the nights in the barn, and because they're spending all the nights in the barn, we get our manure management program, which for Terry and I, we actually do together. I load, she hauls. Oops, we might have a little ice here. Oh, we do. Look at that. Trying to snow, but not making it. So yeah, anyway, we have all-in-one program, marriage and garden enrichment, since it's a job done together. True togetherness, with choir music in the background. So another benefit for our choir friends. Another benefit of choral music. Morning, boys. Sleeping in? Well, you'd think we hadn't just cleaned out that stall, but we did. Anybody ready for the day? How about some treats? Now, actually getting the feed in the manger can be a challenge, can't it, boys? We got to do a little dance in here. Can I get in there? Can I get in there, please? Here, let me get in there. Let me get in there. No, don't spill. Gotcha. And finally, I get to get into each one gets their own feed if they'd be a little more patient. Patience? What's that? Well, we finished pruning up the orchard this week, so we got that yearly job done. Got the stack in the garden ready to burn this spring. Now we move on to the vineyard and to prune that. But first, I think we might have to stop and prune a few of those trees in Camp A. Cut a couple of dead trees out. Well, let's check in on the Hillbilly Brewing Company. In here, out toward the garage, there's this little closet we call the root cellar, or now we can call the wine cellar. Pull that on. Mostly it's storage. But behind the magic curtain lies the Hillbilly Brewing Company. So let's pull the curtain up and see what we got. So we got, oh, this is misadvertised as Carlos Rossi. It's definitely Hillbilly Brew. And we got the airlocks on there. They're hopefully doing their job. And stuff brewing away. Do we still have any bubbling going on? A little bit. Maybe not so much. Next week it's time to pull some of it out and take a check, especially the stuff that's done bubbling. This, by the way, that I showed on the way in, that's some of the raw materials for the Hillbilly Brew. Lots and lots of juice. We got pear and apple over there, pear over here, whole row of, what is this? Blueberry. Got pear sauce and apple sauce down here, whole bunch of grape, whole bunch more grape down there, and that's, of course, for our juice supply. That's just the tip of the iceberg, really. because as you go over into, let me turn the light on here, get past the furnace, go down under here into the dark recesses of the basement, we have a little bit more. Now this is the empty row. These are all empty jars, but this row to the right, that's all blueberry juice. And what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cases high and 2 deep, so there's 10 cases of a dozen there. And then there's the tub room, which is not used for there is a hot tub down there underneath this mess somewhere. We use for storage, but grape juice over in the corner. What's that? There's another 10 cases over there. Applesauce, more grape juice, some pear juice and apple juice. So we're thoroughly juiced. We're ready for you know, one of those survivalist things, at least in terms of juice. Okay, well, we got a little update report on the vanity alcove there with our faux shiplap, and this is pre-painted. Looks kind of nice without paint, but we're gonna paint it. Well, welcome to the tasting room. What do you think?
Yeah, right.
We are 3 weeks into this batch of wine, which is our first attempt. We made 10 bottles, tasted one. Here we're tasting the second one. This is a blueberry wine, and we like it better than the first one. The first one was sweet, almost like something you'd pour on ice cream or something. Yeah, almost like a syrup, or have some alcohol pancakes or something.
It was like the chocolate wine that Kenny bought. You know, you put the glass in there, full, and it was like, I can only have a couple sips of this.
So when it's finished, we might have to pull out some straight juice and mix it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here we are, still working on the bathroom, changing out the sink and the faucet, more on that later, but made a very fun discovery, and that is that well, plumbing in the sink drain here into the P-trap, I found out that the piece that goes into was really never glued. And this piece here is loose and just fell off. So it's like, I wonder if that's been that way for 40 years. But this glues onto that and is solid. So we'll glue it up today. Maybe 40 years late, but better late than never.
There went the tree.
Well, we're taking out some dead trees down here in Camp A. That's the second one. Well, most of our farm reports this winter have been indoor farm reports, but February's been quite rainy here, but we have snuck a few spells in between rain showers to get out and got after we have pruned up the orchard, so that should be ready to go. Now, I know if there's any grape experts out there watching this, they'll probably say that's not very hard pruned, and you'd probably be right. But we inherited a fairly well-grown vineyard, and I've been whacking away. I've been whacking back at these vines a little bit every year, bringing them into tame, mostly trying to line them up with the row so I can get the riding lawnmower down in there in between when this grass goes crazy, of course, in the spring and summer. So mostly we're accomplishing that, but we've cut some height off. You can see there's a fresh cut there, a fairly big branch came off. And I hate to do too much at once, or we won't get anything that year. I don't know if our blackberries are going to come back. I don't see much sign of them in here. So I'm currently, there's a few over here, but I'm currently scouting out to see if I can find some cultured blackberries. The orchard's all pruned up as far as we're going to prune it this year. And we're ready to go. Now, somewhat new this year, I'm trellising the raspberries. We've had a row of raspberries there. Well, back to Dad had a row of raspberries there. When he got in, they were fairly overgrown with this stuff on the fence and grass and everything. So he and I dug them up, wintered them, and separated out the weeds and put them in pots, put them in the greenhouse over the winter and replanted them. And I have been not terribly impressed with what it produces for a raspberry. So this year, you might be able to see, I got 10 new starts here up to that white stake. So we've replaced half of the row, and then the other half is actually mowed down right now. I've been mowing them down in the spring. So they're the twice bearing variety, and the spring crop is very small, so I've just mowed them down so I can manage the weeds a little better. And so I'll be spraying these weeds out soon. Shh. So yeah, I'm going to get ready to, I just set those posts today, and I'll put in a couple of cross members, and so there'll be wires running down about 3 feet wide on either side of the row, trying to hopefully contain them and hold them all in. So more on that later this spring. Well, back here behind the greenhouse, we have something that sort of reminds me of the Polar Express, when Santa jumps up and says, "The first gift of Christmas." Well, here's the first gift of spring. Woohoo! Here come the daffies. Actually, we have had for some time sort of what I like to think of as pre-spring. Is these little, I can't remember what these are, maybe paper whites or something. So things grow well over the septic tank, eh? Oops, which is right where we are. And our silks are still looking, I think they need a little fertilizer or something. Oh, we got a little bit of a daffodils trying to peek out here, so come on, spring. We took out a couple of trees out of Camp A last week. You can see the slash pile down there, and those ivy grown stumps still need to come down. They have a little bit of woven wire fence attached to them I need to pull off first, or I'm going to dull the saw blade real quick. But it's thinning out in poor old Camp A. And I think that might be all I take out by myself. The rest of this grove, the parts that are dying, I don't know if you can see up there, several of them are dead. They all have kind of a lean that I'm skeptical of in terms of hitting something else I don't want them to hit on the way down. So it's going to be kind of thin in here when we get rid of the dead stuff, and whatever's still doing okay, we don't want to really damage too much. So I'm going to have the professional come out and do it in the next couple of months. Well, it's a nice sunny day here at the farm on March the 3rd. And we're going to take care of our prunings today. Get rid of those so we get the vegetable garden cleared for planting later. Well, it's been about 15 minutes and my fire's still pretty wimpy. It's wet and it's spring, and so it needs a little motivation. Enter the motivator. They're back.
swallows go to Capistrano, and the buzzards come to Oregon.
Well, this batch of slash, it fought me. It did not want to be burned. Please, Mr. Custer, I don't want to go. So our good old motivator slash persuader was pretty essential getting her done.